burning. I just noticed Marc's foot.
So good. So good.
I just noticed my echo too. Hi, everybody.
Now my thing isn't working. Dang it. Hello. Still very loud. At least for me.
I'm hearing everybody twice. Do I have... What's going on?
Heart out. Do you have it playing somewhere?
I did. There was a secret tab that I was not aware that was open.
You got distracted by Ralph Macchio.
I did. How can you not?
You know, he's very
so
good. He's very
dreamy.
kissable. So there you go.
Johnny is just full of secret tabs. His hair is full of secrets. Well, anyways, welcome to Geek the F Out, everyone, aka Stranger Geeks tonight, and we are joined by a special guest, Mr. Marc of the Richmond Way podcast and Animation Fascination, Holdo Pod, many different things. You know, you've been on before, but so happy to have you here. And I probably missed something. So if I missed anything, please let the people know.
You got all three of them.
Okay. Perfect. Well, we're excited you're here to talk about Stranger Things Season 3, Episodes 3 and 4. So before we get into it, since this is the first time you're on for Stranger Things, right? You haven't been... Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so what's your background with Stranger Things? Like, did you watch it originally? Did you watch it after a certain season? Did you binge it all 4 seasons at once? What's your history with it?
Well, I remember when season 1 came out, kept hearing people talk about it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't watch it right away. I think we waited maybe 2-3 months or something like that, and then we watched season 1. But then each consecutive season, 2, 3, 4, as they've come out, we've watched those just as they've come out. And when that first season came out, my son was super into that. A few years ago, he dressed up as 11 for Halloween.
Nice.
Which
version of 11?
Oh, we got him the pink dress with the nice. Hopper's jacket. He had buzzed hair back then too. So and then we got a box of Eggos that he could carry around.
Perfect.
Got him the socks and he looked like 11. So it was a while ago because he was close to actually being the age of 11. So but yeah. And we did the fake nosebleed coming out of his nose there.
Nice.
And then a few years ago for Stranger Things Day, which everyone knows is Will Byers, the day he disappeared. But I brought him to an Alamo that was playing this season, the finale. So I won't talk about that because you guys aren't there yet. But that was cool to watch the finale of the season in a movie theater. And I wish I could watch more of this show in a movie theater because it is very cinematic and you could really tell that, especially the finale for this season. But again, I've just enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to this last season that comes out, I think, next year.
Hopefully early next year.
Yeah, I hope
the latest.
that they do. What they did with this past season too, where they kind of split up the release of it a little bit, because I feel like that kept the conversation about the show a little bit longer, and I'm actually able to retain more of season 4 because it wasn't all just dropped on one day, and then you have to try to watch it all before all of these videos get posted online. But this is how what the ending means.
I know,
because someone watched it somehow in 12 hours and already figured out that wanted to. But yeah.
It's the good old days of having to wait a week in between episodes, just like with Lost, and like the message boards going crazy after each one.
Yeah, if the show wasn't like a binge release type show, I feel it like it would, like it has been in like the conversation like that, but I feel like it would be more of a thing like that if Netflix did weekly releases for it.
Yeah,
it's hard in general, I think, too, with the gap between releases, because like what House of the Dragon was when? Was it 20?
Yeah, like year.
Yeah, and we still, I don't think is that season coming later this year?
I think like 2 weeks from now.
Oh, it's coming out in 2 weeks, Johnny.
Yeah. So like still like 2 years. See, that's how far it's fallen off my radar.
I shared the trailer. It's been in the Discord. Come on.
Yeah, I'm sure I watched it too. I remember watching it.
I will say it kind of snuck up on things, because I remember watching the trailer. I'm like, oh, cool, this summer. And then like all of a sudden tomorrow's June. Like, where did this year go?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting that Netflix is doing that, which I think they are doing it for the money, just to have people subscribe to more than one for more than 1 month, because they're doing it with Bridgerton right now, and everyone's like, oh my god, just like release the rest of it. I am one of those people, and they did it with You, and they've done it with a couple of other things, but they definitely do it with their bigger shows, which is smart, but still I don't know, I feel like because Stranger Things was such a what's the word? Like,
phenomenon?
Not centerpiece.
Juggernaut.
Phenomenon. But like it was such a like an anchor to Netflix shows, like, because it was one of like the first big ones that I feel like at this point they like totally could do something where they released it weekly, and I don't think people would be that upset by it.
Just release the last season spread out like across like 3-4 months.
That would be really cool. Maybe either like weekly or like every other week or something like that. But yeah, it's hard because people also would just have like very short attention spans / patience. So, which I understand, but
wasn't I know a lot of people said season 4. While I haven't watched it yet, a lot of people were talking about how it was like each episode was more like a movie than an episode of television.
They're like feature length. Some of them were like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so like
I think the last one is that long.
I liked when they did the Fear Street, like they released those 3 movies like each one like 2 weeks apart or a month apart, something like that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, they could do that. Like, it's a different show, but like how Andor did, like, the 3-episode arc kind of things on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could.
I like that.
You could do. I don't know like how the last season's gonna be written, but like if there's like a Act 1 of the season, and Act 2 of the season, and an Act 3 of the season. Just release it that way, like like release that first chunk, and then wait like a couple of weeks, release that second chunk, and then wait a couple of weeks, and then release that last chunk there.
Release the Kraken.
Yeah. Well, and then that way they can,
release the Snyder Cut.
Just stretch out and how much money they can make on like promoting it, and like more months that people have to keep Netflix because it's on there over a longer stretch of time.
Yeah,
it seems like they'd want to have it on there for longer than just, all right, here's everything. So you sign up for 1 month, cancel it, and then you're out of there.
I think that's a good idea, but I feel like we could talk about that for a while.
Probably
small beast needs attention right now.
Let's say hi to everybody before we jump into things. Derek is here. The Richmond Way, obviously, is on the screen with us, as well as in the chat. Yesterday's podcast. Smetty is here.
Don't eat my
That's
food.
it so far. We'll have people seem to filter into these live ones as they go longer. So,
are you gonna sit or are you just gonna stand?
Here's my shirt, Derek. because I saw in the comments that he wanted to see the shirt. So.
Make it a Blockbuster night. Oh, I miss Blockbuster. All right. So let's start with episode 3. I forgot the title, even though we said it like 4 times last week.
The Case of the Missing Lifeguard.
The Case of the Missing Lifeguard. Thank you, Mark.
I remember the next episode's title, but I couldn't remember this one. I knew it was Case of something.
Yes. So we're at Hopper's house, and 11 and Max are hanging out. Can I talk? They joke about seeing how upset Mike and Lucas are when 11 uses her powers to spy on them, which my autocorrect changed spy to soy on them. So
this was a very superficial like use of her powers, I thought.
Yeah, which is fun because like, I don't know. I feel like that's very realistic for someone that age.
So, someone that age with those powers, they're absolutely going to abuse them in certain ways. But yeah,
it's just because she's not a teenage boy, because she probably would have been doing other stuff with her powers.
Probably.
That's
well, because I mean, just go back to Mike and Lucas sitting there. I'm pretty sure that's probably what they would be doing.
Mm-hmm.
No. That's why lots of teenage boys, when you ask them what superpower they would have, is invisibility.
That's probably why mine has always been invisibility. That checks out. All right. Anyways.
Pervs unite.
Yes. So they're spying on the boys, and
with consent.
Yes, the boys are saying how women are emotional, not logical. And meanwhile, Will still wants to play D&D and is like setting it up. And then they, just start farting around, literally.
Literally.
And like, says how, I think, Lucas says how they're a different species, which is what Elle focuses on. And we find that out next episode too.
That just feels like Lucas and Mike like echo chambering probably stuff that they've heard, like either older kids at their school say, or like their dads or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And don't actually mean that, but they're like, oh, this is what we're supposed to say, or like this is
totally,
this is exactly what it is.
It really seemed like that, and I think just by what they were saying and how they were acting, it like, especially Lucas, it seemed like stuff he had just heard before from other people.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And Mike is like, "What did I do? You fucking lied, you dumbass!" Like he has no idea why she doesn't want to talk to him and why she's mad at him. Well, gee, I don't know.
Typical boys. So Hopper then comes home thinking that Mike is over, and like barges in. He's like 3 inches minimum, and he's so happy that Mike isn't there. And so the girls play spin the bottle to determine who else should spy on next, and they pick Billy, which it was funny because they laid it on Mr. Wheeler first, and they're like, no, he's boring. I'm like, why put him on the wheel? Like, you created the wheel.
Just arbitrary, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. So yeah,
it's
they
probably one of those things like Max is like, so who else should we put on? And Elle's like, Mr. Wheeler? And Max is like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 11 finds his car, and then Billy kind of kneeling over the girl who we found out is Heather. And he turns around like he can see 11 and like looks at her.
Spot
her. And it was very spoopy. Much spoopiness. Yeah.
Dramatic chipmunk.
And then at Mike's, Will wakes everyone up in full wizard gear, playing music and trying to get Mike and Lucas to play D&D again. And I was like, oh, poor Will.
Poor Will.
So
I
sweet.
feel so bad for Will.
I know. He just wants to play Dungeons and Dragons with his friends. Sounds like Johnny. At Hopper's, Joyce shows up to Hopper in a towel, which these two episodes, take a drink every time Hopper is in a towel. And he's upset that, she stood him up on their date the night before. When she starts to go on about the magnets.
Wasn't a date.
Yeah,
they made it very clear that this was not a date.
Mm-hmm.
It was totally a date, but it wasn't a date.
Yeah.
Sure, Jan. Meanwhile,
she wanted it to be a date.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And she's just going on and on about the magnets and going to Mr. Clark's and blah, blah, blah. And he calls her out for it. But she still goes on about the machine, saying it has to be the lab. And she asks Hopper to return to the lab. And, he gets a little petty about meeting there. He's like, oh, let's meet there like later tonight at 7. And then he starts to yell, saying that she got scared and she's making up things to scare him away. But, we find out he's really talking to no one because she's already left. But she hasn't completely left because she goes to the shed and gets some supplies to break into the lab. Meanwhile, Max tries to explain to Elle that sometimes when Billy's alone with the girl, they make happy screams.
And that she'll just give her her mom's Cosmo.
Yeah. Which is so funny. But also, I'm like, even if you're a kid, like, I think you can tell the difference between that and, like, when someone's, dying. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, so maybe not 11, just because she has such, like, a traumatic kind of upbringing.
Yeah.
Max, true. Definitely, but not 11.
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, I thought the Cosmo comment was funny too. And so they go snooping in Billy's room and find a bathtub that was filled with ice and the lifeguard's fanny pack and whistle covered in blood in the bathroom trash. Dun, dun, dun. At the Hawkins Post, Nancy brings up the rats and the house supplies have been disappearing from places the last few days. But of course, the assholes are being assholes and dismiss her and make a lot of jokes and, be assholes. At Scoops Ahoy.
I totally thought that, man, for a second, I thought the editor was going to, like, side with her. And then he did.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, enough for a book. A Nancy Drew novel.
Yeah, I was like, son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Busey plays a really good douchebag.
A little too good.
Yeah,
like a little too good. But
yeah, it's funny. Someone because we were like last week, we were like, he looks familiar, and someone in the chat said he was related to Gary Busey, and I was like, oh yes, I totally see it.
If you want another good Jake Busey performance, the probably oft forgotten Michael J. Fox movie, The Frighteners, directed by Peter Jackson, has Jake Busey in it. So you should check that out.
I haven't even heard of that, actually.
Really?
I got a lot going for it.
I've heard of it. I have not watched it.
Highly recommend.
Good to know. So then we're at Scoops Ahoy, where Robin is still translating or trying to decode when Erica and her friends ask for samples, which for some reason autocorrect put Samoas, whatever that is.
Samoas?
No, Samoles.
Oh.
I don't know.
I was like Samoas.
And I know. Now I want some. Steve and Dustin are spying in the mall looking for the Russians. And Dustin says Steve should go after Robin. And fucking Steve is like, she's weird and she's in band and she's still in school and like making all these excuses. It's so funny. Dustin's like, what's your type? Like, not interesting or whatever he says. Which I'm like, ooh, what does this say about Nancy?
Not awesome, he said.
Not awesome. There we go. But he's not wrong. Robin is awesome. And pretty much like Dustin gets pretty, not deep, but like he really is kind of more the adult in this situation with telling Steve, like, maybe you should forget about all the stupid popularity shit of high school, and like, especially since you're not in high school anymore, and just date whoever you want to date. And Steve's like, who gives the advice here? Me.
Steve's like, she's weird and she's hyper. And I'm like, dude, look who you're hanging out with right now.
So true.
Literally wearing a Weird Al shirt.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then we have Will, Mike, and Lucas are playing D&D, but clearly Lucas and Mike really don't want to play. And so Will gets really upset about it and leaves.
Not into it.
No. And like Mike pretty much like ends the game early, and then he's like, oh, it was a joke. And I'm like, don't think it was a joke. I think he wanted to end the game early and go make out with Elle. But yeah, boys will be boys. Mike stops Will before he leaves and tries to fix things and mention how it's not his fault Will doesn't like girls, which there was a bit of an awkward pause and music shift at that moment that I don't think I noticed before when I've watched this season before. But yeah, so unfortunately Johnny already knows because of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
That little spoiler alert. But it's interesting going back and like seeing these moments now, because he didn't mean it in that way. He meant it like, you're just not into girls like yet. But as we know, that's not the case. Max and 11 go to the pool to find out who the fanny pack belongs to, and the dude says Heather. So Elle takes a picture of her from the wall, and they go to the bathroom to use her powers to find her. And she sees a red door with a bathtub with ice in it that Heather pops out of, asking 11 to help her, and then she like drowns down into it, and it was very scary. Which with the whole bathtub and everything, I don't really get, like, I think that was just for Billy to cool down, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
in season 2.
Yeah, like, I don't think she was ever in it for any reason.
We didn't see her in it, but considering the
vision, I don't know.
Yeah, considering the way things go in the next episode, I feel like she was probably in an ice bath at some point.
True. It's true.
Wait, say that again?
Considering the way things go in the next episode, I figure she was in an ice bath at some point. I feel like she's just as, at this point, just as
I see what you're saying. I see. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it kind of seemed like 11 was kind of meshing what they had seen and, you know, Heather actually reaching out and being like, I need help.
I think she probably was up until the point, like, when they were trying to look for her, she was probably maybe in process. And by the time they found her, the Mind Flayer had taken her over, like it had taken over Billy, and like it had taken over Will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think even if the Mind Flayer takes over, I think like whoever was in there before is still in there, though. Yeah. So to me, I interpreted it as she had already been taken over, maybe.
It could be that too, yeah.
Her reaching out literally subconsciously to Elle to ask for help. Because when else are you really going to get your subconscious out, except for in this weird black realm that we still don't quite understand, that's not the Upside Down?
Oh, yeah. I don't even know if they ever explain. I don't think this is really a spoiler. I don't think they've explained what that kind of in between Mind Palace place is.
Not so far, at least.
It has to be their interpretation of the astral plane, because like astral planes or
like
ethereal plane, depending on which like mythology you're going with. They overlap the prime material plane, which is the physical world, and she can obviously listen to conversations and see and hear things from the real world in that place. So I think it functions just as like she's doing astral projection when she does that.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because I think like even to lean into that is like when Billy turns around and
you see
she
like
kind of like dusts away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of that probably lends a little bit to that then.
Yeah, I feel like it's some sort of astral travel, remote viewing kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense for sure. So then let's see. Hopper and Joyce get to the lab, which has now been locked up, and she sees the spot where Bob was killed and gets flashbacks of him. Moment of silence for Bob. Okay.
Bob Ninja,
and
superhero.
Yes. And we see also, the cameras are still working there. Yes, Johnny. Justice for Barb. Justice for Muse. Can't forget. For all. Justice Never for forget. Everyone. Yes. And yeah, so we see these cameras are still working there in the lab, which...
Yeah, who's watching?
Don't know why. At least not yet. And at the mall, Dustin spots a blonde dude with a duffel bag, and they follow him. But it turns out he's just a jazzercise coach, which that scene was chef's kiss. And they're, of course, like mesmerized watching all the women jazzercise and their, I don't know, thong leotards with tights attire underneath.
Yeah.
Which was the style at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, still as if you're Barbie too.
Yes.
I think it's poetic license, but I was like, can they hear what he's saying from that far away? Like, how far away are they from?
They were pretty far. Although he would have to be projecting to get over the music, so maybe it carried.
Yeah, especially in the mall, like it could like gone out and then like echoed a bit.
It just made me think of Shazam, like when Mark Strong is like talking like way far away from Shazam, and then it goes to like Shazam's POV, and you can just hear, like, I can't hear you. You're like 40 feet away.
That's funny. I forgot about that scene. Yeah, I mean, it could have also just been like audience POV. Like they may not have been able to hear him, but we could because, you know, third party outsider with no personal interest. So then Robin gets a package at the back of Scoops, and that's what they said, and notices the Lynx Cat logo on the, why did I want to say messenger?
Delivery guy.
Delivery dude's outfit.
The courier.
It makes her realize the code is talking about different places in the mall. At the Hawkins Post, assholes put fake rat in the cupboard to scare Nancy, which so dumb. But it gives her the idea to bring in proof and confides in Jonathan about it, and he decides to help her, even though he was like, "You crazy, but I'll help you." And
I love the running gag of her running in while he's developing photos, like every time.
So good. Back at the lab, oh my god, I hate this stupid autocorrect. Instead of the hole, it changed it to the hope.
It's the hope that kills you.
Yeah, the hole that was open for business has now been filled, which we'll save that's what they said for later. And Joyce says she feels like she's going insane, and Hopper says he's still been keeping an eye on things and reveals he knows that she's selling the house, and tells her he understands why she wants to run away from things because he'd want to do the same thing with his daughter, but in this case, she has lots of people there that are there for her, essentially, which I thought was really cute. But I completely forgot about this whole plot line that she was selling the house. So that was new to me. What did you think of it, Johnny, as the first time watching it? Especially because we didn't even get any hints at it, I don't think.
Like, it kind of felt... I see it, I understand it. It just kind of felt out of place.
Mm-hmm. Because there hadn't been any hints at it before this?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe that it, it's happening while they're in this facility. That it's just so happens that they have this heartfelt talk that is then interrupted with noises in the dark. And I mean, they're not moving. That's not gonna happen. Come on.
I don't know. You never know.
Those reactions make me think I'm way wrong.
About what?
Anyways, so yeah, when, like you said, when all of a sudden they hear noise and Hopper goes to investigate. Meanwhile, Mike and Lucas show up to the Byers' house to try to talk to Will, but he's in Castle Byers reminiscing on all of his memories with his friends and looking at all these photographs. And he starts to get really upset and starts destroying everything in there and ripping up all the pictures. And then he starts literally destroying Castle Byers with a bat, which is so sad.
Will's going through some stuff.
Yeah.
He's in a blue period.
Yeah. Like I couldn't imagine being him in that position, like knowing everything we know about him now. And then also, I don't know, I think, yeah, he like just really wants his friends, and it's really hard to see them have all of these relationships with him knowing like it won't be the same for him. And yeah, ultimately definitely misses his friends and doesn't know how to express that properly. And also, he's been through a fucking lot already. So yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely got like, aside from
trauma,
anything about his interest in romance and partners and having a significant other, whether the others have it or not, like he's been through some shit.
Yeah.
He's obviously got unaddressed, like, how could any therapist handle the kind of trauma that he's been through and like the PTSD that he must have? Like, sorry, Will, you're fucked. Like, just do your best, buddy. Just like we all are.
I think the therapist would have to be from the Upside Down.
Yeah, you're on the extra hard difficulty. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's doing pretty well from what he's gone through. So
totally.
So, but yeah, I have an aside for that though too. Like whenever there's a treehouse or like fort or something like that, like in a TV show or a movie, and people like the kids put like all like these photos or like stuff in there. Like I did notice there's a tarp on this, but I was like, it always bothers me that they just put like all that stuff like that's out and like open to like the elements.
Yeah.
And like the photos are never like already all worn to like
or in like frames.
Yeah. Just like normal. Random.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, especially because it was raining in that scene. I was like, how is this shit already destroyed? And I didn't see the tarp. But I think even with the tarp, I don't think there was tarps on the sides of it.
No, because you could see out. And there were specific shots of rain getting on like the Dragon magazines and like the photo that he was holding. And but there's electricity in there too, because there's like electric lights.
It is summer, So maybe they're not expecting rain. So maybe he like moved that. He brought those with him from like his room. Maybe they're not always necessary. Like maybe some things are always in there, but maybe some of like the pictures aren't always in there. I don't know. We're over analyzing at this point. So Nancy and Jonathan show up at Mrs. Driscoll's, but she's not answering the door. So they go in and they can't find her, but notice the cellar door is open. And so they go downstairs and find her eating the fertilizer, looking very possessed.
Yeah, I heard the noises and I wrote in my notes, I'm like, that sounds bigger than a rat.
Did you think it was going to be her? Did you think it was going to be...
Yeah, I had a feeling. I'm like, I wonder if she's been taken over somehow. I was curious because I remembered the rat that she had caught
went in a goo.
Yeah, exploded.
Goo. Mm-hmm.
And then when they went downstairs and I heard I'm like, that I feel like that's her. She's gone nuts.
You were right.
What do you think she was actually eating in real life?
Crumbled up Oreos.
Crumbled Oreos, yeah, is what they use for that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Is that what they actually use?
I think so.
Oh, I was just thinking of when we made fake dirt desserts and put the gummy worms in it,
like mud pies and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. It's like I wonder what they the set like made for her to actually be like chowing down on.
Hi, Chris. Yeah, that's
fun fact
true.
That I think everybody knows. Hydrox was actually the original brand, and Oreo was the knockoff.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. So then we are at the mall, and Dustin, Steve, and Robin are scouting the shipment that they decoded, and they almost get caught, which is very scary because these guys have weapons that are not so tiny. Meanwhile, Hopper continues searching for the noises he's been hearing when a dude comes out of bumfuck nowhere and attacks him, then leaves on his motorcycle, and Joyce sees him right off on his motorcycle, which when I saw that scene, I was like, is she trying to see the license plate? Because that's way too far away to see the license plate.
Yeah.
But I guess she was.
No way.
Yeah, so her recollection of what the license plate was kind of fits what she would actually be able to have seen.
Yeah, exactly. Between it being, far away, dark, raining, it checks out. So then Max and 11 show up to Heather's house where Billy and her parents, which her dad is fucking Nancy's boss.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it during this scene. I realized it in the beginning of the next episode. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, because they show the family picture, and I didn't get it then, but when they showed the table, I was like, oh, fuck, that's right. It's her boss. Completely forgot about that. And they're weirdly having dinner, which, is like just straight up, like Billy is acting really weird, and then Heather walks in, which Max and Elle are very surprised when they see her. And Billy makes up some bullshit that she wasn't feeling well today, and then, creepily watches them leave and has flashes of 11 closing the hole from last season, like literally like watching her close it, and it is creepy. But
the way that Billy was like, I don't think I got your name or whatever, and the way she was like, Elle was just stone fucking cold.
Yeah.
I was like,
she is sus. Majorly sus. So then we cut to Will getting another willy tingle, as we're calling them, on his neck, and
we got Peter tingles, now we got Willy tingles.
Yeah. His tingles are tingling. And Mike and Lucas run up, and Will tells them that he's back. Just very scary. And the final scene of the episode, we are back at the very weird dinner when the mom passes out, and Heather hits her dad in the head with the wine bottle, which somehow doesn't break. And, then knocks him out with, what is it called? They put on a cloth.
Chloroform.
Chloroform.
More like
that's what I'm guessing.
Also, her dad's an asshole. Just besides like what he was doing to
maybe you should cut down on the drinking.
Yeah, it's like, man, why don't you F off?
Yeah,
he is a massive tool.
Yeah, he's a big old ball of assholes. So yeah, that's episode 3.
The credits are red again. It seems like because last episode they were blue. Although I did notice that the beginning credits, I think if it's in the next episode, alternate red and blue, and the end credits were blue. So I don't think it means anything.
Still a good catch because I had never noticed that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The thing I was gonna say with these 2 episodes, watching them just kind of like in a vacuum of themselves, going off of kind of what we said earlier about like the whole binge against non-binge type model, it's like it was weird watching because I made sure just like to only watch these 2, and like that, like episode 3 just like starts. There's like no kind of like ramp up or anything to it because it's just like if you were watching episode 2, we're just picking shit. So it's not like, I think that's part of the thing with like the show too, is like you can't like if you're talking to somebody like, hey, did you have a favorite episode of Stranger Things? Are you going to be able to remember what episode something happened in, like knowing like specifically it was like, oh, it was chapter 3 of season 3, because it just feels like one really long movie that's like chopped up into like all these chapters. And it's only, I think, at least noticeable when you're only watching randomly episode 3 and 4 of the season without the episodes prior to that or the episodes after it. Yeah, it's like a weird, I don't know. It was something that I noticed. So true. Just like in watching it, and I was like, it's still a really good show, but I was like, I wish like you could watch just like a random episode of the show and just like just enjoy
not have
that.
To binge it all.
Yeah, just like enjoy that episode by itself.
Yeah. No, that's very true. And even like, because I didn't watch these 2 until last night, and the last time I watched the first 2 was a week ago. So even having that time in between felt weird. I definitely had to like remind myself what had happened, and I wanted to keep watching, which I could have because that's fine. But not Johnny can't do that. That's very true. They definitely are reliant on each other, and I think probably more so than maybe the first season, because it has become something that you just binge watch, and I feel like it's a reflection of that, like at this point they know people are going to watch back to back to back, so it should feel like a really long movie essentially.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see like what a consensus was of like if people just have favorite episodes of the show, or if they can even recall them that aren't just like the premiere or the finale of that season, because those would be the ones, like the bookends would be the most kind of memorable, because it has like a clear beginning or a clear ending to it. But.
Yeah, I definitely can't say what happens when, even after doing this. Yeah, that's very true. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of shows you may not necessarily know. I don't know. It depends. Some you can, some you can't. But yeah, I feel like this show for sure just feels like one long movie. I think also because each of these seasons take place in a pretty short period of time. I think that also adds to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Johnny, how do you feel about it?
The similar, like, but that's the nature of these serialized season-long shows versus something like Strange New Worlds or TNG, like, or Farscape. Like, you say, what do you like Farscape? Crackers Don't Matter. Probably my favorite episode. Can name it. I know exactly what happens. I couldn't tell you which episode of either of the previous seasons of Stranger Things was my favorite, because I don't think there is one. It's just the story. Strange New Worlds has a lot of good standout episodes. The musical episode, the Lower Decks crossover, like, those are favorites. Yeah, I think I don't have anything different that you guys didn't touch on with it. It's a similar thing. It's one long story versus...
Did you forget Charades?
I did not forget Charades.
It's where they finally kiss, okay?
Oh, that's why you...
I think it's that one, at least. Anyways, we ready to move on to episode...
That clears things up, Chris. Thanks.
LOL.
This episode, I did like at the end how, like, everything seemed like it was coming to a head at the same time for the three different, like, forks that the story is taking, with Hopper and Joyce, with the main crew, and then with Dustin, Steve, and Robin.
Yeah. Which, a similar thing happened last season,
actually,
too.
and then with Ellen
and the
and
first
Max.
season.
Yeah,
they kind of do this every season, where they start in a bunch of different places and then they all end up together.
Yeah, it is kind of like the Stranger Things formula in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad, but it is also their formula.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Lord of the Rings. In Lord of the Rings, they start together and they all go their separate directions. And then they only come back at the last 10 minutes.
Sometimes 11 goes off by herself.
Yes.
To Chicago. And has her goth phase.
Yes. We all need our goth phase, okay? All right, Johnny. So what's the title of this episode?
The Sauna Test.
Yeah, very good.
I knew that.
Is it getting hot in here, or is it just us? So we start off at Max's house, where 11 is still concerned about what she saw with Billy and talks about it with Max, but Max thinks that, Heather's fine since they both saw her and she seemed okay. And Max shows Elle a Wonder Woman comic, which was so cute. Loved that. It was Wonder Woman and then Green Lantern, which I was like, Ralph would like that, but Ralph will watch Stranger Things. I don't know why. And then at Mrs. Driscoll's, she's getting put on a stretcher and screaming she needs to go back. Meanwhile, in the warehouse, mill, whatever it is, Heather's parents are tied up and the dad pleads with her to stop. And her and Billy leave just to have the Mind Flayer monster suck their mouths dry.
Is that... I don't think that's what it was doing. I think that was more... The traffic seemed to be going into them, not coming out of them. I felt like it was, like, implanting, like, the larva that Will...
It was, Johnny. Just let me say suck them dry.
My mistake.
Maybe did both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sucked them dry and it went inside them. How about that?
There you go.
Double penetration.
So is it pumping them with, like, the larva like Will horked up at the end of season 1? You think that's what's going on there?
Well, we know what's going on there. What do you think is going on there?
The question I just asked is...
okay.
Filling them with the larva that like the one that Will horked up at the end of season 1. I want to say horked a lot more. Horked.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what you're doing. Yeah, we'll have to see. So Hopper wakes up in his cabin, once again shirtless, and then we find out he's actually naked, which I did not mind, and wants to immediately get back to things when Joyce is like, no, you can't do that. And she kind of took down the license plate, but not really. And then all of a sudden, Hopper becomes more interested when he hears that it was a motorcycle and not a car, which at first I was like, why does that change things? Like, is it because less people have motorcycles? But then I was like, oh, yeah. So he was paying attention at the mayor's office when the creepy motorcycle dude went by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think David Harbour must have been filming Black Widow either close to or just after this season, I think.
I don't know.
Or just because he looks very similar in both movies. I mean, not movie.
Yeah.
I just call Stranger Things a movie. But yeah, like
it is.
Yeah. Or just
because
it seems like it was around the same time. But
yeah. And he loses a lot of weight in the last season.
Oh yeah. That's true.
I do have to give a shout out to Joyce with the old puking in the pasta pot formula. Because
is that what you used to do?
Yup. If I was not feeling well when I was a kid, my mom would put a pasta pot with some water in it next to my bed, and that was my puke bowl.
Why was there water in it?
To mitigate the
spray back.
Yeah, so it's more like a toilet, more like puking into a toilet, and less like just. I don't know. I was like 5. I don't know.
I just always had a trash can. With a plastic
there you
bag.
go.
Same trash can bag.
I was not in charge of the logistics of taking care of myself when I was puking at 5 years old.
Well, why not?
Oh, gee, I don't know. Let me think.
God, Johnny, you grow up at 5.
Gotta be self-sufficient at 5 years.
Overall failure.
You're a failure.
I'll just go.
Oh, okay. You're okay, baby.
But that's a good point. Easier to dump if you put water in it.
But you just put water in it after. That's so weird.
If
maybe there's
the conversation was clipped out, no one would know.
If you're a child
time.
and you're sick and you wake up in the middle of the night and puke into this pasta pot, by morning that's probably going to be like much harder to clean.
Now the question is, how many days later would you guys have pasta for dinner?
I think at that point we had a dedicated puke pot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it was like the old pasta pot that only got used for that.
There is something else that people have to boil clean. And sometimes, yeah. And then I have to forget about it because I want to puke. If you know, you know. I'm like, you just buy a separate pot for that, please. So then, actually, there's several things that could work in that scenario. So yeah, then Lucas, Will, and Mike code red Max and Elle, telling them to come over. They keep trying Dustin on the radio, but he's not responding. That actually wasn't what I was thinking of at first. It was more like a reusable something for women. Nope. Okay.
The cup variety?
Yes, of the cup variety.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
but there's also this episode is a real period piece.
Well done. Well done.
Night, everybody.
So yeah, they do the code red. Dustin isn't responding. Cut to Dustin on the roof again, spying on the Russians' shipments. And
speaking of code reds.
Oh, so good. Steve, Robin, and Dustin try to figure out a plan to get the key card from the Russian when suddenly Robin gets an idea, grabs the tip money, and runs off, which we find out later why. At the Hawkins Post, Nancy and Jonathan meet with the boss, aka Tom Holloway, who's now been possessed, and yells at them, says Mrs. Driscoll is a paranoid schizophrenic whose family is threatening to sue them now, and he ends up firing them. At Mike's house, Will tells the gang about his willy tingles that have been happening. He says he felt it whenever the mind flayer was close, and he had the idea that the part of him that the part of the mind flayer that was in him never went back through the gate, the gate closed on him, and how that part would want to attach to a new host now, which is when 11 is like, I think I might know who that is.
I really liked how they did that scene too with him, like getting like the extra what kind of the
charcoal?
The charcoal like on his.
Hey Ralph.
We just mentioned how you won't watch anymore, even though what did I just say? That
the Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, even though Green Lantern is in it. So.
The charcoal.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was just gonna say with like how I just liked the visual representation of how they were able to like show that with like he gets the chalk on his hand, spreads it like that, and then they flip it over and then he like shows how like I thought that was like a really good visual way to explain what he was saying without like being like overly exposition-y. That's not
it makes sense coming from Will too, because we know that he does art and he's drawn with that charcoal and like that before, rather than just some random character doing that we've never seen has any kind of art history.
Yeah,
and also he's just a deeper thinker as well, and I feel like Mike definitely wouldn't have thought of that too. Sorry, Mike, but kind of a dodo.
True.
So let's see. At City Hall, Hopper barges in on the mayor's office, locking the door, which I definitely caught. I was like, smart dude. Asking him about the dude on the motorcycle he saw there, but the mayor is obviously lying. He says the dude was maintenance, and I was like, sure, Jan, maintenance. And Hopper starts to bring up all this dirt on the mayor, and then the mayor slings it right back at Hopper, and says all this shit that Hopper has done. And then he mentions Hopper's daughter, which I was like, oh, buddy, you're fucked. You are fucked, sir. And so Hopper throws him against the door, breaking his nose, and is about to cut off his finger with the cigar cutter when he finally tells him that the dude just gives him money sometimes. He works for Starcourt, and they want to keep expanding their properties in the area. And Hopper asks for the records of the purchases. And he tells Hopper, don't mess with these people. And Jonathan and Nancy are driving, and she doesn't believe their boss. Meanwhile, Jonathan, is that Sylvie?
Yeah.
Jonathan is upset.
Sorry, I wanted to say this was the Hopper's cracked point of the season, because I wrote that in, and I think that I've written Hopper's cracked once a season, so it's happened. This is the
and it happens next season too.
Wait until you see Hopper's crack.
Mm-hmm.
We got.
You probably got a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
A little tease, a little Hopper crack.
Hasn't gone full crack yet. Say crack again.
Crack. Really, really quick in this scene, I liked like the kind of the team up of Joyce and Hopper in that too, or like where she's like talking to the receptionist out there. She's like, "What are you gonna do? Call the cops?" And then I think Carrie Ellis plays a really good like 80s movie like mayor antagonist, kind of like in the same vein as like I don't remember what position he is, but like AKA Dickless from Ghostbusters, or like
Walter Peck.
Yeah, well, there
he
you
was
go.
also a mayor.
Yeah, or like the principal from Ferris Bueller.
It's true. This man has no dick.
Yeah.
But in the first Ghostbusters, he was just the EPA agent. He was just the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yeah, or like,
wait, he was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like like Ferris Bueller's principal.
Right.
Although that guy sucks in real life, and then did suck in real life, but then also the mayor from Jaws, who somehow is still the mayor in Jaws too. So, support your elections, everybody, because
yes, at the smallest level,
vote. The mayor from Jaws is still the mayor in Jaws too.
And the mayor can be dickless.
Also, that is too.
Yeah.
I mean,
actually,
he could have put Carrie Ellis's other appendage inside the cigar cutter, and then he could have also been.
I don't think it would have fit because it would be too small.
As you wish.
Anyways. He handled the shark. What more do you want? So yeah, Nancy and Jonathan are driving. So yeah, Nancy is like, she doesn't believe their boss at all in this story. Meanwhile, Jonathan is upset they got fired because Jonathan, doesn't come from money like she does. And he's like, the real world sucks. And they come to realize that they just don't really understand each other, which I really liked this scene, even though it was like heartbreaking to watch because like they both have their struggles. And, A, being a woman, like I can see Nancy's side of things, and B, being someone who doesn't come from money and family still struggles with money. I really saw like Jonathan's side of things. And it's like, it's hard when as a woman we're not believed very often, unfortunately. And also like her mom tells her later is just, people just like want you to give up. They expect you to give up. They expect you to be wrong. And, it's really hard to stick to your convictions and what you believe in and follow through with those things when everyone else in the world is telling you not to. And then at the same time, Jonathan, like, he has a very good point that like he needed that job and, money doesn't grow on trees for him. And, he's not going to have things handed to him like they are for Nancy. But, so yeah, I really liked that scene.
Yeah. They both had good points. Neither of them was wrong. Like,
totally. So then Robin comes back to Scoops with the blueprints of the mall and shows that the air ducts lead all the way to the secret room. And they take a look at the air ducts and they realize Dustin is not going to be able to fit in there, which don't worry, I saved all those lines for That's What They Said. When Erica comes up to get ice cream, giving Robin an idea. And the gang stalks Billy at the pool, trying to figure out if he's been flayed or not. And Mike gets an idea. So the boys go in the pool locker room that has a sauna and think that maybe they can get Billy into it so they'll know for sure one way or the other if he's been flayed. Back at Scoops, Erica has been given all the ice cream when they go over the plan with her, which she calls it child endangerment, LOL, which she's also just very smart for her age. To which Justin explains that these Russians are going to harm the country, so she should do it for America, which we get the most amazing line. You can't spell America without Erica.
It's true.
I did like at the very beginning of this scene, she pushes the ice cream towards Steve, and she does say please. She says more fudge, please. Go on. She did say please. She does have manners.
She does, and sort of. like I said, she's smart. Like she knows that they need her for this mission, and so she takes advantage of it. And yeah, this is a very dangerous mission. She should be paid free ice cream for life.
Yeah, she is polite while she is extorting them.
Yes, exactly.
Have you guys tried any of the Scoops Ahoy ice cream? Because I know you can buy it.
I'm going to. You can get it at Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Baskin Robbins had it like when the season came out. Because they always
the regular flavors just seem kind of boring, like normal ice cream flavors. It's the upside down flavors that I want to try.
Yeah. They had like I don't remember what it was. They had like this huge cookie, but it wasn't like a cookie pot, like a cookie cake or cookie pie like it normally is. It's like, what the hell was it? It was like, I remember it was like this
not
weird
like a Pizookie.
Yeah, I think it was like that, but it was like it also had. It was like the biggest thing you could order at Baskin Robbins for it. It was like that, but then it had like every flavor of the ice cream on top of it, and then it had more hot fudge on it.
Kitchen sink.
Yeah, I think basically they had like all of the stuff that you see on that table in that scene, like with like like the cone that looks like the boat and stuff too.
Yum.
It was they did a very good tie-in with Baskin Robbins when this season came out. I remember.
Yeah. They're very smart with their marketing for Stranger Things.
They're still selling the pizza from the past.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'll have to maybe go to Walmart and go through that madness and see if I can find some ice cream. But yeah, I definitely want to try the like weirder ones. Like I don't want to just have vanilla or chocolate or whatever.
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. They have cinnamon bun bites, chocolate pudding, USS butterscotch, triple decker extravaganza. Those are like the normal flavors. I don't know if it says what.
The cinnamon bun one sounds good.
I have the cinnamon bun one and the butterscotch one in the freezer down the hall.
And then the upside down flavors are mint flare, pineapple upside down, and the void.
Man, they left their pineapple tie-ins for Stranger Things for flavors.
There's no description that I can see of like, dark vanilla. The void is dark vanilla ice cream mixed with vibrant strawberry swirls and crunchy cookie pieces. So it's vanilla ice cream. It's just black.
I think the ice cream just gave us the name for where 11 goes is.
The void.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was right there the entire time. It was on the ice cream.
Damn it.
So what's the triple decker? The triple decker is
go to Urban
vanilla
Dictionary.
and butter ice cream infused with maple syrup, waffle pieces, and chocolate peanut butter candies.
Yum.
That tastes good.
I want it.
Is there anything special about the butterscotch aside from just butterscotch?
Butterscotch sounds good.
It's it's vanilla with butterscotch. I can talk. I promise. It's a creamy vanilla ice cream with rich butterscotch swirls.
Yum. Now I'm gonna need to order ice cream. Damn it. So yeah, she asked for free ice cream for life in exchange for her help. At the mayor's house, Hopper and Joyce look through the purchase records for Starcourt, which he keeps in his safe in his bedroom, which he explains later that it is to protect himself. And Joyce realizes that all the properties are near the power plant and that maybe the machine is at one of those properties. And then the fucking mayor tries to go out the window and Hopper's like, abso-fucking-lutely not. And Hopper also jokes that Joyce should come work for him. And she's like, I can't look at your face all the time. Just like, I think you could. And at the Wheelers, Nancy confides in her mom about what happened and how she wanted to be right about it. And, how hard it is for women in the workplace. And her mom basically does a shortened version of Gloria's speech in Barbie and tells Nancy to keep fighting and that she's proud of her for standing up for herself and tells her to finish the story, but sell it to someone else, which is such a smart idea and such a cute moment. I loved this a lot. are at shit talking me. It's a fake rug. No shit. Yeah, that was funny.
You shoot that yourself?
How'd you take that down?
Any thoughts on those scenes?
All good scenes.
The thoughts I had about the Nancy and her mom scene are in the memes. So
okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I like that they have slowly been giving. I don't remember what the actress's name is, but who plays Mrs. Wheeler, like more and more to do each season.
Yeah.
She's really good. And it's kind of just like there sometimes, but like every time like she is given a scene like this, she does a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Too.
She crushed it.
And remember what she showed up in the season of Supergirl, and she was like a villain on that. And I was like, hey, look it, it's Mrs. Wheeler. She's the bad guy. But yeah, she's a pretty good actor. So I wish she was in more stuff, just because she is really good when she's given stuff to do.
Yeah, definitely agree. So we kind of get a string of apologies while the gang is preparing to trap Billy, which we first have Lucas to Will saying it was a cool campaign that he had set up. And then...
Shit. Sure. I don't buy that for a fucking second.
You didn't think it was cool, Johnny?
Oh, no, I don't know if it was cool or not. I don't think Lucas thought it was cool. I think he's lying to his friend because he's a piece of shit. Him and Mike both.
Okay. Tell us how you really feel.
Fuck them kids.
I mean, to be fair, most teenage boys are usually pieces of shit for a good few years until they figure out that they were pieces of shit for those few years. Well, hopefully most of them figured that out and didn't just continue to be pieces of shit later on into their 20s and so on and so forth. But, you know.
Men don't grow up. They just get bigger. Anyways, then we have Mike to L explaining. That's what my mom would always tell me. Explaining that Hopper made him do it, made him make up the story, and to which Elle says that maybe she should be hanging around her own species more, and then says she makes her own rules when he realizes she has been spying on him, which I was just like, you go off, girl. You go the fuck off. And we kind of have a bunch of back and forth scenes, but then it goes into them. Then it goes into longer scenes. But so very quickly at Starcourt, Erica is going into the duct while the rest of them are looking at the doors of the delivery area. And she goes through and opens up the doors for them. And then the mayor's wife comes home and finds him tied up. And which at first I thought he was going to be like tied to the bed. I'm like, that's not a great thing to come home to, but he was on the floor, so it wasn't as bad. And Joyce and Hopper are checking out all the places that have been purchased, going through them one by one to try to find the machine. And then at the pool, the gang starts their plan to trap Billy, which they use a dummy and a radio to lure him into the sauna and lock him in. I was like, this is the fucking oldest trick in the book right here.
I remember this very specifically. This was one of the parts that, like, my roommates were watching it, and I happened to, like, be in the room and watch a little bit of it with him, because I totally remember him being locked in the sauna and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And Nancy shows up to the hospital to talk to Mrs. Driscoll and reads her file while she's sleeping.
I was like, quick, take out your cell phone and take pictures of the chart before someone comes. I'm like, it's the fucking 80s.
I thought the same damn thing.
Those
little microfiche cameras.
Little microfiche, like spy cameras from the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was watching her like look through them. I'm like, oh sweet, like she can just take pictures of them real quick and be done. And then later we see her writing it down. I'm like, oh yeah that's right.
Good thing she knows shorthand.
She's got a steno pad like I have for my check notes.
Aren't you so cool?
Yeah, I do everything else. I type a notepad on the computer. For Trek, I still use that for some reason because I started it.
Classic.
They'll all be in there
because that's how they would do it in the 60s.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
It's a data pad.
Yep. So back in the secret room at Starcourt, they find some weird green stuff in, I don't know, not tubes, but like chambers, tubes, things.
It's the
Secret of the
capsules.
Ooze?
It's the yeah. I was just gonna say it's
capsules.
The ooze from Teenage
yeah, it is
Mutant
the
Turtles.
ooze.
Was this room just completely unguarded because there was no delivery? Like, is that like?
Yeah,
I'm guessing because also like, you know, unless you have the key card, you can't open it from the outside. But yeah, then we find out it's a fucking elevator.
Yeah, like a freight elevator.
Yeah, and the whole room starts to go down real fast, and that's the last of we see of them for the episode. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Mrs. Driscoll's heart starts racing, and at the same time, in the sauna, Billy is trying to get them to open the door and pleads with Max, saying he made me do it, and calling him a shadow and saying it's not his fault. Meanwhile, he's grabbing a shard of tile. Like, so fake. Like, so fake. Yep. And then Will gets a willy tingle and tells Max, Mike tells Max to get away from the door just when Billy smashes through the window and tries to stab her. And, of course, Lucas uses his wrist rocket.
Lucas and his fucking wrist rocket.
His fucking wrist rocket. But, I mean, it's fun to see it back because I don't know if we saw it in the second season at all.
I don't remember.
I don't think so. But yeah. Oh, hi, Sylvie. Hi, baby. Oh, such a cutie pie. And the lights start to go crazy, and Billy's veins turn black, while Mrs. Driscoll's are too, and he breaks through the door with his crazy strength that he now has. And Elle fights Billy with this barbell, but he breaks free and starts to choke her when Mike tries to hit him, or he does hit him, but then the second time he stops him. And just when Billy is about to hit back, Elle gets up and goes beast mode on his ass, lifting him up into the air and then throwing him through the fucking brick wall. And he ends up running away though. Mm-hmm. And we see back at the warehouse, Billy is telling Heather that Elle knows about him now. And Heather says, well, she doesn't know about us. And you pan out to see a bunch of essentially kind of zombified but flayed people who are standing there before the mind flayer. Done.
Yeah, like
done. Done.
Hosts, thralls, whatever you want to call them.
Just standing there, which comes up in the spoilers without context. So, yeah, and that's the episode. What did you think of that ending, Johnny? First time watching it.
It didn't surprise me because with it, they kind of foreshadowed it with them taking their parents. Well, first with Heather and then with the parents. I'm like, oh, so they're building an army basically. And they kind of foreshadowed that too at the beginning when Billy had the vision of himself and all those silhouettes behind him. So, yeah, I kind of saw this coming.
Okay.
I'm finding myself so far actually less interested in this season than the previous two. I think I would. I'm kind of like, it's the Mind Flayer again. Like, I would have been more. I was expecting a new monster, not the same one from the previous season.
Well, this is a physical Mind Flayer.
It's a physical manifestation of the Mind Flayer. Yeah. I also can't stand Billy. Either as an antagonist, just as a character. I hope he's dead by the end of the season. Sorry, Max. Huh? Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Mark. Anyways. Damn it, Johnny.
What?
It's the Red Dawn Walmart version Russian vibes for me. Yeah. So I don't know. Any thoughts like rewatching these two, Mark?
It's definitely like the tail end of like the first act of the season. You can feel it, like it, because like you said earlier, like the first episodes are kind of like pair well together, and like these two pair well together. I mean, there's still a lot that happens in it too. Like really sets up like the stakes like for like pretty much the rest of the season. By the end of this, like by the end of the fourth episode, too, because you're like, all right, the Mind Flayer is they're trying to control like a plethora of people at this point, to do whatever they're trying to do to bring the upside down to the real
Right side
world.
up.
Yeah, right side up. And just like how all that's going, and then like you have them figuring out more about like what's going on with like the Russians at Starcourt too, and like what's going on there. So it does a good job at setting up like what's going to be at stake for like the rest of the season, while kind of tidying up a little bit of what was in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah. It's interesting too, watching it back and seeing how well they interconnect all the seasons. Especially with, Will's idea that the part that was in him didn't go back through the gate. Because I remember, I think we might have kind of discussed it, Johnny, when we talked about that episode, or just, the fact that like it goes out of him and like we don't necessarily see it going back, like it just goes out of him.
Yeah, it's just kind of dissipated into the air.
Which, as we saw at the beginning of the season, that's how it starts in the warehouse, is that same like smoke monster essentially of the Mind Flayer, but turns into a physical version of it. And and I will say I totally get that coming from the other seasons, Johnny, but I think you might change your mind after seeing the rest of this season.
Maybe, yeah. It's possible.
Yeah, might not. Some people love this season, some people hate it, but also that's like every other season too. So, but it's I mean, they're all really solid, so.
Yeah, that's not to say that it's like not enjoyable. Just of the three so far, this would not be my favorite of the three that we've seen.
Yeah. Any predictions for what's to come at all? Since you're pretty good at doing that, Johnny. That's my line. Shit's gonna get fucked.
I mean, obviously, by the end of the season, everybody's going to be friends again. I don't know if they're going to be dating, like Mike and Elle.
Well, they did have that little moment together after she sent Billy through the wall. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I didn't.
She like slumped to the floor in his arms. That's something that's replayed a lot in like compilations that people do for some reason. I think of like their relationship. Yeah.
Hopper's gonna do something crazy.
Or Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah. I can't think of anything right now.
What about what you think like the Mind Flayer is gonna do?
They seem really concerned. I wonder if it's going to try to, like, take over L.
I honestly can't remember if it does it.
Although it tried to kill her when it had her there, so
maybe
it didn't try to abduct her. It was just trying to kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I bet it flays some.
What was the house in Game of Thrones that was like the flayed man?
Oh, fuck.
Maybe the Mind Flayer's gonna join that house.
I put the Glade man.
Hey, Kenny's cool.
My phone hates me. The Flayed Man, Game of Thrones. Oh, Bolton.
Yeah.
Duh. Thank you.
That's
Michael
what the
Bolton.
That checks out, since they literally do that to what's his face? Dickless. Speaking of Dickless.
Theon.
Insert
Theon.
GIF of dude from
Wiggling.
Misfits.
The sausage.
Doing the
Wasn't he also in Skins? Or no, I'm thinking of
Ewan,
Arya's boyfriend.
I saw him first in Misfits. I know he was in the Inhumans show too, that everyone
he
is better off forgetting. But
yes. So bad. Anyhow.
All right. The Russians are going to cause problems. They're probably going to...
What do you think they're trying to do?
I still think the only thing that considering the time period it's in and what they're doing, it is likely they're trying to weaponize the Upside Down. Like, either as a secret way to invade America by going through the Upside Down, or to get creatures from the Upside Down to use as weapons against America, because it's the height of the Cold War and everything like that. So, yeah. They're trying to weaponize the Upside Down in some manner, I suspect.
Good theory. Alrighty, shall we do some That's What They Said?
Yes.
You have the list, right, Mark?
Oh.
I sent it on Discord.
Yeah, hold on, I'll bring it up. Oh, also really quick, these 2 episodes were directed by Sean Levy. And I thought he did a really good job with them. So for people who don't know who Sean Levy is, he's directing Deadpool and Wolverine. He also directed the classic film Big Fat Liar.
Oh, by
Very
the way,
classic.
I looked up the actress for Karen is Cara Buono. She was in Gladiator. She was in Hulk, the 2003 Hulk, as Edith Banner.
Nice.
She was in...
So was Mom.
I assume.
Yes.
She was in 10 episodes of Mad Men.
She does look like
I could see her in Mad Men. What do you say, Mark?
I said she does look like she'd be married to Nick Nolte.
The
Jinx Derek.
I don't know how to say this. Gamamne. It was who she was in Supergirl.
Oh, Mrs. Wheeler's mom. Or no. Wait, were they both in?
Wait, who are you? Who do you think I'm talking about?
He's talking about Mrs. Wheeler.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
Okay. All right. I think Mark should go first.
Yeah, Mark should start, and then we'll proceed clockwise.
I'm trying to figure out where that's going to end up with me getting some of these.
We'll find out. I haven't read through them, but go Mark, Johnny, me. How about that?
All right. All the cavities have been filled.
Who's ready to sweat?
Let's move those thighs.
Let's start it nice and easy now.
I watched them do it.
Oh my god.
Who is this dripping all over my living room right now?
Yeah, this is the one I figured out.
Oh no.
Hi, Daddy.
The first time I felt it was at Day of the Dead.
Then I felt it again at the field.
What does it feel like?
I don't know if you'll fit in here. It's like super tight.
I'll fit.
Oh my god. I got wow.
You got the best one.
Oh, sorry. I meant I instead of it.
Okay. Touch my butt. I don't care.
That was hilarious. Push harder.
Harder.
Sylvie's just looking at me right now. Well, now see, now I need to segue it with I don't want me talking about my dog be the last thing I
Too late.
So pizza with pineapple on it. I'm coming.
Yay. Very good. No, I had
Touch
no
my
idea.
butt, I don't care. This is my favorite thing ever. It was
so
fucking
good.
hilarious.
I did not know how that was going to line up. I'm so sorry.
That's right.
It's okay. I'm the only one here with a dad left, so it was a 2 out of 3 chance that it was going to be someone without one. I'm sorry.
No.
That's all right.
Hugs.
Right.
All right. So we have spoilers about context.
I just have to laugh because if it was me, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
All right. Well, I tried to put a Pedro Pascal spin on it to not think about that.
Could have turned into Zaddy.
Yeah.
All right. Time for spoilers without context. You didn't make any right. I forgot to check with you. No. Okay. I figured.
I named them in a manner that Kayla's will be first this week.
Okay.
And mine will be second.
Okay.
So let us do this. I will share my screen.
Share away.
So we will bring Kayla's spoilers without context up on the screen.
Yes, I had to do the Karate Kid because obviously they talk about the Karate Kid. And then Jamie Lee Curtis in a
I was wondering
jazzercise.
if that was actually, I'm like, is that actually Jamie Lee Curtis or just a
because
model
all the ones from the movie are just like way too sexual to put in here.
What movie is
and I don't even know the name of the movie. I just see that scene all the time of her and John Travolta.
Oh, it's Staying Alive. It's a sequel to Saturday Night Fever.
There we go. To them shaking their hips and John Travolta not wearing tight underwear. And this is actually the infamous scene from Stick It, where she's getting out of the ice bath and I realize I am not straight. And then we have the Shining twins, because when 11 and Max showed up with their matching raincoats, it was very much a la the Shining twins.
Nice.
Which they're not twins, they're sisters actually. So that's mine. What?
My brain, I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
what?
My brain just immediately was like, but wait, I know what you mean. But my brain for a second was like, but wait, twins are sisters.
Yes, but they're not twins.
I know what you mean.
Okay.
But wait a minute. If they're twins, they're sisters.
Yes, Johnny.
It's a 1:45 here on the East Coast. Okay, cut me a break. So we will bring my spoilers without context up on the screen. So I had to do the whole collection of those Tiger Beat, Bop, Super Teen magazines that they were the Ralph Macchio, and I think there's one of him.
Yeah,
in
he's
there.
right there on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep. Here he is. In all
and
his
then
glory.
Erica just yelling at Robin, "Ahoy!"
Yes.
I had
Ahoy!
Mr. Burns with "Ahoy hoy." And then I just searched Jazzercise, and this was like a Party City costume.
Right.
And then Lois Lane from My Adventures with Superman, because Nancy was very much Lois Lane in this. Actually, the stories, I felt like the stories of like Nancy and Jonathan in this were very similar to the story of Lois and Jimmy and Clark in that first season of New Adventures of Superman, because they're interns at the Daily Planet instead of actual reporters. And she's also trying, like, it was very similar.
Oh, how interesting. I started watching that. I don't know whatever happened, why I didn't finish watching it. I need to go back and watch it.
I can loop that back around to Richmond Way, too, because there's an animated character in that first season. And also, they showed up in season 2 that looks just like Trent Krim from Ted Lasso at the Daily Planet.
How funny.
I know the second season of that just premiered, didn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it out
Oh,
now?
it did?
Yeah, season 3 is, or I mean, not season 3, episode 3 is out now, too. So, first 3 are out.
I liked it. I enjoyed the whole first season, so I'll have to catch the second season.
Yeah, I liked it when I watched it, but I don't know what happened when I stopped watching it.
I was trying to figure out which version of Lois Lane to use, and then I was like, wait, I'll use the My Adventures with Superman one, because it's the same. It's like the same character arc with this newspaper stuff.
It's true.
It's very similar to me. So those are our spoilers without context for episode 3. Now we will bring them up for episode 4.
Yep. So yeah, we've used this one before of the iconic Die Hard going through the air ducts. And I had to bring up a classic Wonder Woman comic. I literally just searched like 1980s Wonder Woman comic. And then a sauna, because obviously the sauna. And then this is from Westworld, which luckily I think it's dark enough because everyone's naked.
Yes, there are definitely penises visible in that photo, but I don't think that you can make it out.
It's pretty dark.
There's some P's, T's, and B's, and B's in that. Shut up.
All the things. Okay, we hear you.
So, funny story, when that show was really taking off and everybody was talking about how good Westworld was, I watched it and I'm like, this movie's not great. I didn't realize it was a show. I looked up the movie and I was like, this is okay. I was more interested in seeing like the adjacent park, the medieval land.
Oh yeah, or Future. They did a sequel to that movie too. It was like Future World.
Yeah.
I think Michael Crichton directed the movie, the Westworld movie, because you also wrote the book, right? Yeah, I think so.
Maybe
of Jurassic Park theme. He just He just likes writing about parks that go off the rails, I guess.
Yeah. It's a theme.
So yeah, when all the
theme parks,
when all the people are standing in front of the mind flayer, it reminded me of that scene where they like pan out and you just see like all, well, I mean, they go through the bodies, but yeah, just reminded me of that.
If I had done a spoilers without context, one of them would have been from Finding Nemo, where it's him saying, "I'm gonna touch the butt."
Fuck, that's good.
That would have been a good one.
And then the sauna one would have been a shot from the Challengers movie, where the two dudes are sitting in the sauna.
That's so funny because I finally saw it the other weekend, and when I was looking up sauna, I was like, wasn't there just something I watched with the sauna scene? There we go.
I almost did a sauna one. I was just gonna pull the sauna scene from Seinfeld.
That works too.
Nice.
Okay. These are good. We will see again some overlap. Kayla and I are on the same level with these sometimes. Here are my spoilers without context. I also had to do Wonder Woman. It just makes sense.
Duh.
And then I had to use Cody Rhodes because of Karen telling Nancy to finish the story.
Oh no, he froze.
Is
he frozen for you?
The most appropriate time for him to freeze.
His eyes are closed. Oh no.
Maximum comedy effect.
Yeah. Guess we'll never know. I'm just not surprised that there's a
well, there it goes.
And he's completely gone.
And the other person there was Boba Fett.
Yeah. Oh, he's coming back. Hello, welcome back.
Hi. So you couldn't hear me.
Yeah, but that was great comedic timing, though.
Yeah, it was.
I'll have to go back and watch it. Because I could hear and see you.
You were completely frozen. Eyes were closed.
That was weird. Because everything on my end was working. I don't know. Oh. So let me put the... What was the last thing you heard me say?
You were about to explain why Cody Rhodes is on there.
Oh, you didn't hear? I explained the whole thing.
No,
you said finish the story, and then that was the last thing you said.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I had to put Cody Rhodes because of Karen telling Nancy to finish the story. So Nancy was finished the story, presumably is going to finish the story. That's a prediction. She's going to write the article before Cody Rhodes finished his story. And then you don't...
No idea.
Yeah, you don't watch professional wrestling, so I didn't expect... I expected this one to not click with you.
No.
Then I had to use Boba Fett and his wrist rocket for Lucas's wrist rocket.
Oh. Very good.
And then I had to use the Kool-Aid Man because Elle had Billy do his best impression of the Kool-Aid Man going through that fucking brick wall. So
that's so good. It just makes me think of the Dane Cook skit about Kool-Aid Man.
Oh no. Why don't you use the front door?
I always think about the Family Guy skit where he busts into like the courtroom or whatever it is and then slowly backs out.
Or have either of you watched Being Human, the US version?
Yes.
With
my god.
Sam Witwer coming through the wall. Oh yeah.
I fucking love that show.
Speaking of Jimmy Olsen.
I think I did watch it.
Doomsday.
Yeah. I love that show. I don't like the UK one. Like everybody says they like the British one more than the American one. I like the American one more. I think it's just because I discovered the American one first. It's one of those things where... I didn't
even know there was a British one.
Whichever you're exposed to first typically ends up being like your preference because that's what you... I watched the whole American version before I knew there was a British version. So the British version was just never going to really click with me after that. I love the Sorry. I love the Amish, like the elder vampires being like the fucking Amish is fantastic.
Well, maybe I didn't watch this. I think I'm thinking of
Sally the
else.
Ghost is... I love Sally. I love that actress.
Also
Megan
on
Rath.
Supergirl.
She showed up on Supergirl, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because she's...
Brainiac is her brother.
Yeah. All comes back around to Supergirl, I guess.
Yeah. Supergirl's a weird show. I love Melissa as Kara. I could never get into the show. I tried to watch it, but the show... Like, I loved it when she showed up on Flash, any of the crossover stuff. But the Supergirl show itself, for some reason, just didn't click with me. I couldn't get into it.
He was in Quantico.
Sam Witwer also was on Supergirl.
Was he?
Yeah, he was one of the bad guys.
That's what he was on. Okay. I swear he was on something else. Oh, he was in The Night Manager. Good show. Good show.
Who are you talking about?
Russell Tovey.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I know who that is.
I think he was the werewolf on the
version.
UK
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's also in Once Upon a Time.
Probably. I watched that back in the day.
Also starring Sam Witwer. Sam Witwer's all over the place.
Just dipping his toe in everything.
He's in a lot of Star Wars stuff too, because he
Darth
did
Maul.
Starkiller in the Force Unleashed video game, and Darth Maul in Clone Wars. Was it Clone Wars?
Yeah. And Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Good times.
Let's get out of here.
Let's geek the F out of here. Thanks again, Marc, for joining us. If you want to tell the people what you have going on, where they can find you, your cool hat.
It's going to fall off. You can find me at richmondwaypod.com for where I'm doing a bi-weekly rewatch of Ted Lasso with my friends Mike and Bonnie. And then holdopod.com for people that can't spell holdomaneuver.com is our Star Wars podcast. You guys have been on there. And then animationfascination.net. I think only Johnny's been on Animation Fascination so far. But that one's the animation oriented one. We just most recently talked about the season 2 premiere of My Adventures with Superman. Yeah. A little bit of everything if you like Star Wars animation or Ted Lasso. Those are all the places that you can find me talking about each of those things.
Yeah, because I managed to be free. It was like, was it Christmas? It was over Christmas. I think it was when
What If
was coming out.
Yeah.
Like a new one every day. So I happened to be free. So I was able
I still haven't watched all of this. I know. Anyways. Wow. Okay.
Well, that's a good segue into David Harbour.
Yeah.
Because Red Guardian is in that. So.
Yeah. I think that's about that's about does it. Alrighty, folks.
It's time to end the stream.
It's time to go.
Kayla's ability to speak
I'm out of it.
Has
It's
fled.
been a long week.
Yes, it
to
has.
say the least.
But we will see you next Thursday for Trek Retrek. And again next Friday for episodes 5 and 6. How many are there season?
8.
We're halfway through.
Right. Yeah.
And
you can follow us at GTFO channel on Instagram. Mostly post there. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say at this point because it's whatever. Peace out, Cub Scouts. Come on,
Bye.
do the thing.
Ahoy.
Ahoy, hoy.
Scoops.
There you go.
Scoop.
That's show. It's over now.